Verse of the day, Sunday, January 18th, 2026. Isaiah 26, verses 8 to 9. Yes, Lord, walking in the way of your laws, we wait for you. Your name and renown are the desire of our hearts. My soul yearns for you in the night. In the morning my spirit longs for you. When your judgments come upon the earth, the people of the world learn righteousness. The deep yearning, faith, judgment, and the pursuit of righteousness in Isaiah 26, verses 8 to 9. The book of Isaiah in the Hebrew Bible is a great example of God's power, a warning from a prophet, and a sign of hope that lasts. Often called the Isaiah Apocalypse, chapters 24 through 27 are a unique part of a broad vision of judgment and ultimate restoration. Underneath this strong story is Isaiah 26, a psalm-like section honoring the safety discovered in relying on God amid turmoil. Particularly, verses 8 and 9 provide a great window into the inner world of the loyal. Yes, Lord, we wait for you. Our hearts yearn for your name and fame as we walk in your ways. At night my soul aches for you. In the morning my spirit yearns for you. People all over the world learn righteousness when your decisions hit the ground. Obedience, strong desire, and the understanding that God's intervention, even in judgment, is meant to teach us something good. This small paragraph sums up the main ideas of committed discipleship. Understanding these passages requires investigating the interaction among the following: the degree of personal spiritual yearning, active obedience to divine precepts, and the universal effect of God's just administration. The foundation of obedience, walking in the way of your laws. The opening affirmation, yes, Lord, walking in the way of your laws, we wait for you, sets obedience not as a need for connection, but as the normal posture of those who recognize God's power and desire His presence. Walking in the way of your laws means deliberately, daily choosing to follow the covenantal standards set in the Torah at a time when Isaiah's world was unstable politically, idolatrous, and dependent on foreign allegiances, often shown by the looming dangers from Assyria or Babylon. This is not only passive following of custom, it denotes moral integrity and useful righteousness in every aspect of life. Torah for the old Israelites, this meant upholding monotheistic fidelity, keeping the Sabbath holy, and seeking justice for the poor. In a wider, more ageless sense, this obedience is conforming one's ethical compass and daily behavior to accepted heavenly rules, whether they are religious or secular. Think about the contemporary parallel. Organizations or countries that flourish, like highly ethical companies or stable democracies, usually depend on well-defined, regularly followed fundamental principles. But Isaiah stresses that for the believers these rules are not just societal conventions, but rather divine routes leading toward the expected presence of the Lord. Walking by itself suggests ongoing, deliberate activity rather than fixed conformity. This conformity sets the fundamental framework upon which the later longing and waiting are based. The path's dedication transforms the waiting from eager expectation into random grievance rather than aimless one. The intensity of desire, name, renown, and heart's longing. The second clause changes from external action, walking, to internal condition. We yearn for your name and reputation. At night my soul aches for you. In the morning my spirit yearns for you. This communicates a spiritual yearning far above political achievement or worldly aspirations. Wanting God's name and renown is yearning for His character and the way His splendor is shown in the world. It is a desire not only for personal comfort, but also for God's reputation, His revealed nature, to be properly recognized and respected throughout the world. The temporal indicators at night and in the morning help to intensify this desire. Night sometimes stands for times of hardship, doubt, or spiritual emptiness, times when mankind's assistance appears gone and darkness dominates. The soul shouts most passionately just in these times of utmost vulnerability. On the other hand, the morning marks the beginning of a fresh day, the first instant of restored awareness. The dedication here is absolute, covering the whole of a person's life, from the most profound depths of personal pain to the very beginning of waking consciousness. This constant, cyclic desire points to a basic orientation of the heart wherein nothing else meets. Throughout many spiritual practices and world traditions, this phenomenon is obvious. Art or Sufi poetry also uses images of great hunger or ardent love to depict the longing of the soul for the beloved. Isaiah 26 verse 9 records this intense, all-consuming spiritual concentration and shows the yearning for God not just as a sporadic idea, but rather as the continuous, background current of life. It is the heart's fixed point, the ultimate source of love that inspires both action and fortitude. Waiting in the midst of judgment, divine discipline, and earthly education. The ultimate statement links the internal condition of the faithful with the outside happenings going on in the world. When your judgments come upon the earth, the people of the world learn righteousness. This brings up the challenging but very important theological idea of divine judgment. Though it is scary, it is finally shown as educational. As Isaiah so often predicted for Judah and surrounding countries, the judgments alluded to are the unavoidable results of human civilization straying significantly from God's set order, usually showing as military defeat, famine, or national collapse. But these chaotic occurrences are not only about damage for the sake of itself. For the people of the world, those who lack the committed waiting of the loyal community, the decisions are a harsh, unavoidable kind of education. Humanity is compelled to face reality when the established systems and fake gods upon which worldly powers depend fail spectacularly. Revealed are the futility of worship and the hubris of the haughty. They are driven to see a superior, independent reality whose rules finally control existence in the ruins of their confidence. Significant geopolitical changes have historically been followed by an illustration of this idea in the aftermath. For instance, the fall of apparently unbeatable kingdoms, like the Soviet Union or several past monarchies, typically sparks worldwide deep reflection on the feasibility of different ideas. When systems based on human pride or material security fail, there's usually a subsequent reevaluation of basic ethical and moral foundations, a reluctant, forced learning of morality, or at least a recognition of the need for a stable, fair order. For Isaiah's audience, the coming destruction of haughty, overbearing neighbors provided a terrible classroom where the knowledge of the Lord's law would be sharply opposed with the folly of human self-sufficiency. Those who have been faithful and waited patiently after walking in the laws are now witnesses to this holy display of moral causality. As the globe finally understands the truths they treasured, their waiting is validated. The interrelation of faith, desire, and divine action. The passages serve as a single theological message. From dedication to inner experience to outside observation, the framework makes perfect sense. One cannot really feel the great longing of the soul v9a, unless first one follows the road of obedience v8a. Moreover, this determined waiting and longing gives the required spiritual fortitude to withstand the vision of divine judgment unfolding without falling into cynicism or depression. The faithful see the judgments not as arbitrary cruelty, but rather as the required, albeit unpleasant process, whereby universal righteousness is eventually shown and imprinted upon a rebellious society. This viewpoint provides great solace. It implies that spiritual life is closely tied to world upheaval rather than separate from it. The longing heart serves as the lens whereby anarchy is seen as holy process. If the judgments were just random destruction, the faithful's patient waiting would seem pointless. However, since the judgment's outcome is widely acknowledged education in righteousness, the patient observer's viewpoint is found to be wise and ultimately in line with cosmic reality. The expected result of God's judgment carried out on the world confirms the value of the wait's patience. This guarantee grounds the community and keeps them from being swept away by the fleeting achievements of the moral or the horror of temporary disruption. This section inspires change in modern religious debate. It suggests that real faith calls for a lot of internal focus, the yearning, as well as obvious moral action, walking the way. Isaiah 26:8's standard is not met by a religious life defined just by external compliance, devoid of real spiritual yearning. On the other hand, a life defined by great spiritual longing that does not translate into ethical conduct lacks the required backdrop for that yearning, namely, the will to live according to the recognized holy teaching. The ultimate expression of this relationship is in believers acting as partners with God, using their God-given desires and faith to bring about love, justice, and peace in the world, sometimes referred to as the law of liberty. The ultimate goal of this interrelation is not merely getting what one wants, but the transformation of the individual and the world, bringing them into alignment with God's loving purpose. Prayer serves as a key point where human desire and faith intersect with divine action, allowing God to respond to human need within an open, unfolding reality. Conclusion. Isaiah 26 verses 8 to 9 offers a strong expression of continuing faith in a world marked by moral drift and volatility. It lays out a blueprint for the dedicated life, a pledge to practical adherence to holy law, an unquenchable, cyclical yearning for the presence and character of God, and a sober acceptance that divine judgment serves a necessary educational function for all mankind. The passage guarantees the believer that their waiting is energetic, founded on ethical commitment, and confirmed by the ultimate triumph of divine wisdom in the historical process. In the face of ambiguity, the way ahead is to line daily behaviors with everlasting values, grow an inextricable inside want for the Lord, and appreciate the great, if usually painful, aim included within the developing moral tale of the world. Those whose hearts are bent on the fame of their God are defined by this triple cord of obedience, want, and observed justice, which determines their safe location. Faith is not mere intellectual belief, but an active, personal trust in God, often described as faith in action, or, in the Jamesian sense, inseparable from works. Wish you all a very blessed and a joyful Sunday. Nazarene.